wise woman.
Hello,
I'm Kaya,
I'm Lisa.
and we want to talk about the superwoman complex and how for a few generations now we've put, the pressure has been there for longer than that, but particularly this pressure for a few generations around mothers still needing to be the dedicated, present, loving mother and wife, and that's kind of the stereotype of the stay-at-home mum with the guy who goes out and works and
You bake bread.
you do it all really, really well. Still needing to be that, but then also needing to be a kick-ass person in your work in the world, and like really needing to do it really well and make a big difference and do it just as well as all the guys can. And how we've internalized those massive expectations and we're using them to burn ourselves out and like run ourselves ragged.
Yeah, so we've internalized them because for some of us that is actually like we do want to deliver something into the world. We want to birth our work into the world, and we do also want to be awesome mothers. So
they're important to us.
Yeah, so the message is like, oh, that's a good message. Okay, yeah, I can do both. Okay, and you can do both. You can do both, but it cannot look the way society has been telling you it is going to look.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't just look like these two roles that already had crazy, unreal expectations put on them, just plonked together, and then you expected to live to all of them. Like, it doesn't look like that. It's a whole new paradigm of being a multi-committed, multi-passionate, even more.
You can actually have more than one life work in the world, and that is acceptable and okay. But you can't treat it like, it's a bit like I was saying to Kay, it's a bit like if you work for in corporate and they decide to downsize and get rid of roles, and I've been through many of those restructurings, so I get it. They downsize the roles and they get rid of roles, and what's left is fewer people but the same workload. And now everyone just is doing the job of 2 or 3 people. And that's exactly what they have done to mothers who also want to birth something else into the world, whether that's corporate or you're like an entrepreneur and you want to have your own business. You can't just suddenly take 2 full-time roles, throw them into one body and hope that somehow that will work, right? Like we need to think outside of the box. It needs to look different. And it is a gift. Yeah. Like the fact that we are merging these 2 worlds, if you zoom out far enough, mothers are amazing powerhouses of transformational, world-changing energy, and the gifts that they can bring to the workplace are phenomenal. And the gifts that then goes back and gives their children, that when they birth their work into the world, who they become as women goes back to feed their children. If you do it right, if you do it with sustainability and don't lose your mind and end up stressed out and freaked out and overworked, then it's a gift to everyone. And it is possible, but it can't look the way we're currently trying to drive ourselves into the ground.
Yeah, and a big thing to look at is expectations, whether it's expectations that you've just brought on from society around you, or whether it's expectations that come up from within you, like old stuff that you're trying to live up to.
So I struggle with that one, for being perfect, like being in my own eyes, okay? So yeah, expectations is the first core space that you need to start. And a lot of us are actually, like if we say this to you, you're probably sitting there, yeah, expectations, blah, blah, blah. But it will be eye-opening to you if you actually allow a stream of consciousness to come out about what those expectations are. Because I guarantee you, it will shock you. It really will. You won't realize that there are things that are sitting there in your subconscious driving you that you don't even consciously agree with as truth.
And that are running you to the ground, that are so unrealistic and so unsustainable.
Yeah, and if you say no to them, if you're not bowing to these unsaid expectations you're holding within you, then you feel like you're failing and you feel like crap and like you're never quite enough. You're never quite hitting the mark in every area. You're letting everyone down in all directions, right? So these expectations are there. They're there in every single one of us, no matter how balanced, conscious, aware people we think we are. We have expectations and they are driving the show. So Kaya and I often use a process with our clients where we encourage them to allow the part of them that holds these perspectives or these expectations. You know, there's lots of ways to use this technique, but in this case, to just speak, to write it down. It's not the whole of you, and I guarantee you that when you start writing it down, like if you just write down for 2 minutes everything that you expect of yourself or you believe other people expect of you, if you write it all down, there'll be lots of things on those lists that consciously you don't agree with as truth. It's not the whole of you, but it is one part of you, and it's a part of you that is actually driving your thoughts, your feelings, and ultimately your actions.
Yes.
So what do you want to, yeah.
I just want to point out that it doesn't actually mean that you should have like a lower bar or less like that
should lower your values for yourself.
Just because you're doing both of these things, like that, oh, okay, I just have to accept that if I'm only working, then I will be doing a better job than if I'm someone who's working and who's being a dedicated mother. Or if I'm only a stay-at-home mother, then they will be doing a better job than me if I'm doing both. Like that's not true. It's just that there's a whole different way of doing it. And
the paradigm for how we live our lives needs to look differently than it does right now.
And it starts with getting conscious of and breaking down those expectations.
Okay, so if living in this new way, because if this is you, if you're watched to this point and this is you, you're obviously someone who wants to be an awesome, dedicated, committed, present mother, and you have a burning desire to birth a contribution into the world that's something else.
Or you're already kind of doing it, but you're feeling like you're struggling.
Yeah. Or you've reached a certain level of success and now it's like totally overwhelming you. It's like, oh, holy crap, how do I hold all this now? Okay. And you can do it. You need to do it differently. It needs to look differently. And if that is something that interests you, that different piece, and come and join our Facebook group, The Spacious Woman. Come and be with us and let us support you into this new paradigm. Because we want you to spread your magic into every area of your world in a way that feels spacious to you instead of stressed out, overwhelmed, claustrophobic, and feeling like you're not meeting your inner criteria.
In a way that really has you find and step into your power as that multi-committed, world-changing mother and woman. Like you can so do it. You really can. Yeah.
Okay, so much love to you today. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend.
Bye.